Hey everybody, it's Amy Graham, the Badass Valkyrie, and I just wanted to take a few minutes and introduce you to my baby girl. This is Saki Tsunami Whirlwind, and she is a little granny dog. Well, I stay little, but she is chunky monkey. But we were having some issues this morning, and so I had been wanting to introduce her to everybody since I'm doing the Saki project. And considering the fact that I don't know how long she's going to be here, at 5 o'clock this morning, I thought she wasn't going to be here today. So, but this is her, and I just wanted you guys to meet her. So, she's breathing hard. This is kind of her norm right now. But I wanted everybody to get a chance to see her before something bad happened. So, and she went to visit her brother and kitty brother and sister over the Rainbow Bridge. So anyway, this is her, and she is my heart, totally. Okay. So obviously she does not like being on camera. So I'm going to send her out to Greg. Go on, girl. Okay. Thank you for bearing with me. I just thought that I would get that out there so that, you know, everybody could meet my girl. But my hair is all crazy, but I just finished cooking dinner. Anyway, so I do apologize for getting this out a little bit later than normal. But this week's focus is going to be on recentering. And what I mean by recentering, I use Waze, and it's the GPS driving system that started out. You could gamify your drive and all of that, but I love it, and it does tell you where all the police are and all the speeding traps. So if you've never heard of it, you should look it up. It's a great app. But it has a little button. It's a like if you're trying to figure out where you're going, you just hit this compass that says recenter, and it puts you right back in the center. And I spent all of yesterday, which was March 1st, doing exactly that. And it was going through all my stats, going through all my goals. And from January 1st to March 1st, things can change. And you can change, and you may not want to do certain goals, or you might have found that certain goals don't serve you anymore. And that's okay. You don't have to stick to that. I kind of do that every first of the month. And I do a check-in on the 15th and see where I'm at. Some people might call it refocus, whatever, but literally I recenter. And when I'm in my morning meditation, I just sit up straight and I'm just like, I just focus, I deep breathe, and I get my mind in a place where it needs to be. And I just focus on where I'm at, what I'm doing. Is there a purpose to what I'm doing? And what I'm getting out of it. And it can be as simple as, you know, ending the previous month before. You know, that's what I love about the Hobonichi, is that every month I get a brand new page just to kind of start out with everything. I can rewrite my goals. I can rewrite my insights. All of the things that I want to get done that month on a brand new page. And it's a brand new month, and I don't have, if I've messed something up, or if I've written things out in a way that I didn't like them, or I've changed my mind on certain goals, I can just not put that down. And it helps me get rid of all the extraneous crap that's just kind of like eating away at me, like, oh my gosh, I didn't lose 5 pounds, or oh my gosh, I didn't, you know, do as many runs, I didn't do as many steps, I didn't sleep as well, blah, 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 blah. All that's cleared away. Fresh start, recenter, start from where you're at. And I think that's where a lot of people get hung up, is they're like, oh, well, I can't restart it. I'm in the middle of the month. I'm only 2 days in. I'm whatever. Here's a little secret. You can recenter and restart any damn time you want. The planner police are not going to come and get you. The planner community is not going to go, oh my God, I can't believe she started over. No. There is always a new page. There's a new notebook. Sorry, there's not always a new hairdo. And when I get to that point, I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, I'm just leaving it. I just can't. Anyway, but you can always start over. And I can start over tomorrow with my hair and wash it and change it away. So never think that you're stuck. And you can always find a fresh way to look at something and a fresh start. And, it was very hard, like when I was in Weight Watchers and in doing different things to lose weight when I was heavier. I mean, even now, I would go into a weigh-in and I would literally just fret myself to death. And then I'd be up a pound or 2 pounds or 4 pounds like I am this month. But that's okay. Yesterday was yesterday. And I can't do anything about tomorrow until tomorrow. So all I can do is figure out how I'm going to deal with today. And I can't let everything that happened in February or in January bother me. I have a fresh month. I have a brand new day. So it doesn't matter when you get to a point where you have to recenter. The biggest point is to recenter. If you get off kilter for any reason, like a little dog who throws your entire morning off because you've sat there thinking that she was going to pass away for an hour because she couldn't breathe. And you and your husband sit in bed crying because you don't know. Yet, you go down to fix your cat breakfast. Bloop, 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 bloop. There she is, like, why didn't you make my breakfast? Hello? Excuse me, hostess. Something's missing. Yeah. So, I can't. I know it's coming, but I can't worry about that. Every day is a gift. And all I can do is recenter and think, okay, new day. I get her a whole day. Great. And you move forward. Can you tell it's been an emotional day? I wasn't going to bring all of that into this, but it just kind of spills out. And I would much rather share it so you guys see what I'm kind of going through, so that you realize that, everything's not always, pretty notebooks and perfect leather covers and kicking ass and taking names. Sometimes you're literally in a puddle of crying mess, and you're just like, okay, I gotta get myself out of bed, go make some coffee, figure out what I'm gonna do. And we'll see when the vet opens and take her in and send her on her way. Nope, not gonna happen. So you change directions, and you get spun up, and you get emotional, and you are off in every other direction, and then you just have to recenter and figure out, okay, what can I do in the next 5 hours before I go to bed? Tomorrow I may wake up the same way, but that's okay. It happens. If you're living with someone with chronic illness or chronic pain or, something that's debilitating. It's hard. It really is. And you have to just figure out how to start from where you're at and move forward. Because if you sit where you're at and wallow, that does not help anybody. It doesn't help me. It doesn't help the person you're worrying about. It doesn't help my little girl Saki. So I just have to recenter and figure out what I'm doing. Same thing with my budget. If I go on a crazy tangent and buy $50 worth of Converse Chucks, one pair in orange and one pair in baby pink, I lost my mind, but they're so cute. Oh my gosh. And it wasn't in my budget? Okay. Where am I taking that from my budget? And figuring out, okay, this is what I'm doing. Recentering and going, okay, this is where this is. I'm not going to spend what I spent on those other places, and just deciding, okay, this is how this is going to be. I'm not going to get certain things, other things that I was going to do for this month, or last month technically. So, it's stopping the chaos, stopping the negative thoughts, stopping whatever you need to stop, and recentering and figuring out how you get back on track. And that is probably the best way to explain it all, is to just get back on track. If you blew it and you had 14 macarons on Saturday, but you also had about that same amount on Friday, I'm not going to beat myself up about it. It happened. I can't change it, but I can change going forward. And I can change how I look at it right this instant. I can be mindful of not doing that again. I can also be mindful of what it did to me at that point in time. And there's a fine balance there, because when you don't dwell on it, some people have a tendency to go, okay, just ignoring it. No, don't ignore it. Acknowledge it. Acknowledge that you want to stop that behavior or stop the chaos, and then recenter. But going forward and ignoring a problem or a bad habit or whatnot is not the way to do that. That is not recentering. That is putting it away in a box and forgetting about it. And I'm the queen of that. It's like, I can't remember. Oh, I wish I could remember the name of the movie, but it had this guy, the way he and the character's name was Jonesy, and he was like, he stored things in his mind. It was a Stephen King book, and he stored things in his mind. It was like boxes and on a shelf in a warehouse, and he would go and move things around, and that's how he stored things. That's how I kind of categorized pain when I was a kid. And that movie, and I wish I could remember the name of the movie. If you know it, put it down below. But if somebody hurt me, if I got angry or I got pissed off and I couldn't release it, take it out, put it in a little tiny box, lock that box, put it away. I didn't have to worry about it again. And, past boyfriends and heart hurt has been that way too. But I also have good things too in little boxes in my head. But, we all categorize and, file away bad things. And it was only till I met Greg that I could actually talk about things and be open and just be like, blah, and just let it all come out. And he's like, really? You were worried about that? Don't. You're a nut. I love you. That's it. And just having that acknowledgement for it, and I just be like, oh, okay, I don't know why I sit there and obsessed about it for 20, years or 20 minutes or 20 days. And I just kind of tend to let it go now. Instead of locking it away and letting it eat at me and come out at very bad times, just like let it go. I address it. I figure out how to get past it, and I just let it go. And then I recenter myself. And there are a lot of different ways that you can recenter or center yourself. I mean, believe me, pull up centering yourself on Google and you will find everything from, wildly religious to crazy hippie chick kind of things. But somewhere in between there is something that's going to resonate with you. And there are a lot of things that resonate with me. And I find ways to just literally, quite literally, what I showed you earlier, that helps center me. It's just, and hands at heart center centers me. And it's part of my yoga practice, but just doing this motion, centering myself, and literally centering does that. But it's things that I've learned through yoga, through Qigong, through Tai Chi, a lot of different things that when I was almost having a panic attack, when I have an asthma attack, I have to center myself. I have to, when I have an asthma attack, it usually sends me off into a panic attack because I can't breathe. And then on top of that, I have the panic attack. And those people who are around me that have been around me when that's happened, they know just to put their hands on my shoulders and let me put my hands on theirs, and they just look at me. They don't have to talk, but if they do, they just, are you okay? It's fine. Just calm down. You're good. And it just gives me something to look at and to focus on and to center on. When I'm fighting and the world just kind of goes away and it's just like, and I can see different things. I actually had a harder time centering on one opponent than I did with 6 or 5 or 10. If there was a multitude of opponents, I could just be like, bing, 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 bing. And it was literally like a hub, like who I need to target first. And it was just like bing, 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 bing. Focusing on one opponent, my brain was like, where's everything else? What's going on? And finally, one of my mentors was like, a single opponent is like a tree and has many leaves. And you have to watch every hand movement, every leg movement, every body movement, everything. And then my mind was like, oh, okay, bing, 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 bing. And I could focus on that. But it took me a while to center on a single opponent, which seems counterproductive or counterintuitive, but it was because I was so used to fighting multiple opponents that it went. And I think part of that too went from coming from an abusive childhood and always being the one being attacked and knowing when that was coming and having a single attacker and you're just like, oh, and you just shut down and you just prepare for it, because when I was a kid I couldn't fight back and you just kind of take it. But with a multitude of attackers, I'm just like, oh hell no, this is not going to happen. And you're just like, So I honestly have no idea how that got so wildly off. But coming back to centering, using how I fight as a way of centering is kind of trying to explain that to you too. So a little bit of fighting and violence and all of that kind of thing. Just kind of boom. But before I go off on another tangent, and we all know how easy that is for Amy, that is the focus for this week, is to refocus and recenter. And if you need to start over, start over. If you haven't been doing this, start. It doesn't matter where you start, when you start, how you start. I don't care which one of the focuses you start on if you want to do them. I don't care which one of the Finding 52 weeks you start on if you want to do it. Find one. You don't have to go in order. I mean, whatever works for you is how you need to do it. And however you need to recenter yourself and get back on track, do it. Find that way for you so that you can use that when you need it the most. Like this morning when I needed it the most. So that is I had no idea any of that was going to happen. I mean, recentering has been what was going to be this week. And all morning I'm like, I just need to center. I just need to get back and focus and figure out what I'm going to do. And lo and behold, doing that gave me time, or gave her time, to come down and show me, I'm okay, Mama. So that's what happens. So blessings in so many different ways. Anyway, but that's what this focus is for this week, is recentering yourself and starting where you're at, using what you have, and going forward. There you go. I hope you guys have a great week. And I will also be bringing recentering and reevaluating like your goals and that sort of thing in my Wednesday video for the planner community with my Hobonichi, and showing you what I do to start the month out and how I close out the previous month and just start new. Every month, start new. And that's just how I go forward. And while I may not have, beat my stats or improved in any way, brand new month, brand new Amy. And that's how I look at it. So anyway, I just wanted to show you, or let you know that that's coming as well. So have a great week, and I will talk to you soon.